Yeah, they did a great job the other night. So the second half, Melbourne dominated early. They were 3 goals, 6 to hardly any score, and they should have put the game to bed. But after half-time, you felt the arm wrestle change. And Melbourne have done this time and time again this year. Got away to big leads, haven't put the side away, and then the running power of other sides get them. And all of a sudden, they start to get a bit jittery in their back end. 11 goals to 5 in the second half. Charlie Cameron kicked 3 from 4 disposals, was so efficient. McCluggage was great. That man there, Berry, after half-time, had 20 disposals to Clayton Oliver's, I think about 9, 5 clearances to 3. That was an inspired move.
And the Brisbane pressure. So the first 15 minutes, they looked right off Brisbane. Didn't look like they were up for it. Melbourne were all over them, and then something just clicked. Kano, wasn't it? It was just outstanding from Brisbane with what they did, and just turned the screws on Melbourne, which we haven't seen Brisbane like that sort of side this year, but they were too tough in the end.
Yeah, no doubt. I think there was a number of aspects of their game. So that point that you made, no doubt their pressure in their contest was, well, that amplified, didn't it? And then they had a bit more dare with the ball movement. We spoke about Fremantle, how boring they were. Brisbane actually started to really challenge Melbourne on their defence. The overlap run, the handball, and then getting the ball in deep over the back of the defence, and that's where Hipwood and Charlie Cameron were excellent. Now, in finals, your reputation is built, as I said, and there was a number of Brisbane players that their reputations had been questioned. Could they stand up in big games? So for Eric Hipwood to do what he did, for Charlie Cameron to do what he did against an opponent that had beaten him convincingly in Hibberd was terrific. I thought Kitty Coleman across half-back was sensational right from the start. So, and Dane Zorko led exceptionally well. So there was 4 or 5 Brisbane players whose reputations were questioned coming in, and they walked out of that game with enhanced reputations from what they did.
Absolutely, Kane, and you were spot on with the ball movement because it was all in the second half. Cam Rayner during the week said, we went too fast last time we played them. We just wanted to go fast, fast, fast. We needed more control. So I noticed in the first quarter, first half, they didn't learn from that. So all they wanted to do was go fast, and it didn't help them. May, Lever, Gawn behind the football. So let's have a look at what they did in the first half, and they just bombed it straight back to Melbourne. Melbourne mopped it up as they always did. This is what they said they didn't want to do in the first half. So you thought it was just repeating itself. Just entries, bombed inside forward 50. May wraps it up. They go back out the other way, but Melbourne couldn't put them away. Again, this is a really good play, but they're just bombing it into nobody time and time again in the first half, and you thought they hadn't learned from their mistakes. Melbourne too easy, and then this is the last one. Hipwood just needed to hold it up. There was no one there. Can't make the distance from there. That's 80 metres out. You need to hold that up. So I reckon Chris Fagan must have said to him at half-time, we need to change this. We need to lower our eyes. After half-time, they started to win the clearances contested footy their way. Let's have a look at some of the changes in direction they had. So this is okay to go long because you've got May, you've got Lever, and you've got Gawn all up the field. So you got it over the top of them. All of a sudden, you put them under pressure. Jake Lever can't fly in the air, so he can't spoil it. Charlie Cameron at ground level kicks the opening goal. A lucky bounce, but they get it over the top. This one, they change direction. They get the ball out here to Starcevic. And what Starcevic does, he changes direction. You've got the players down the line. Right here, May. You've got Lever, you've got Jackson behind the footy with his opponent. Okay, so if you bomb it here like they were, you've got to change direction. The lead up was there. This is what they weren't doing in the first half. Then they get it into a goal scoring position. They kick the goal. Again, this one, they were bombing this one forward. But Hugh McCluggage looks around and goes, I've got time and space. I can use the space in front of me and take it. I don't want to bomb it to nobody. I'm going to take on maybe being tackled from behind. Change direction again. Here's Gawn, here's May. They change direction. This one doesn't result in the goal, but it results in a shotted goal from the change of direction. Gardner marks it, goes out here, and then Charlie Cameron on the end of it. So Brisbane from the first half of the second, very different.
Was that a personal best?
For times.
Yeah.
It was good clips, though. Very good clips.
It's very good, Brownie, but he almost played the game in full.
He loves it. Now, what happens now is Nathan comes back here. This is what you don't see at home. Nathan comes back, and one of the other guys will be speaking, and Nathan looks at me and he goes, that was good. Right, go on, do it. Go on, do it.
I tell you what I will say about Melbourne. Now, it taught me this year that you can win a flag one year, but that same game style won't win you a second one. I thought they were found out by the rest of the competition. The way May and Gawn and these guys set up behind the ball. Sydney worked it out, And they know what Rayner said during the week. We've got the blueprint now. Sydney taught us the blueprint of how to beat them, and it was done time and time again. So Simon Goodwin has to go back to the drawing board and find a new way to play.
Well, as we know, as of this morning, Kane hit the road, and he's taken with him not only an entourage and those vehicles behind and the masseur and the bodyguard and the producers, he's also taken his volcano. So here we go. For the first time ever, the volcano is on the road.
Yeah, the volcano travels, and it travels well, TJ, let me tell you. So Lachie Neale was kept so quiet in the first half. Andrew Brayshaw did a magnificent job, kept him to 3 effective disposals at half-time. And guess what? Brisbane are up by 22 points. I don't know why they've changed the matchup at half-time. So it was Sparrow that went to him and Brayshaw was moved off him. So perhaps Brayshaw's not fit enough. That's the only explanation that I can find. And perhaps the Melbourne side across the board hasn't been fit enough. Lordo mentioned back-to-back premierships are hard to win. Had they taken their foot off the gas through pre-season, they lost Darren Burgess as their fitness man. Had they taken a few liberties? And was Brayshaw unable to run with a midfielder that you know is going to play for 120 minutes? He didn't come off the ground in the second half against Richmond the week before, Lachie Neale, and he ran them into the ground, and him and Berry were lit the fuse for Brisbane in the midfield. So Simon Goodwin's going to review that game and look at a number of the matchup mistakes that he made, including that one in the midfield.
You mentioned Jared Berry there, Kano. He is currently out of the preliminary final for this incident with Clayton Oliver. The putting of weight onto his chin and neck region, had his hands around Oliver's eyes. We'll see Oliver remonstrating, obviously, during it, and then also pointing it out to the umpire thereafter. Officially, it's an intentional conduct. It's low impact. It's high contact. That's got it to the 1 week. This will almost certainly go to the tribunal on Tuesday night.
It's going to be a fascinating outcome, this one, isn't it? Because the more you look at it, the more you think, if you were Brisbane, you could certainly mount a defence for it being not intentional.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know what it's like to be on the ground like that and to lash out. But, I mean, there was clearly contact made to the eye region.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, to get it downgraded, yes?
That's what he wants to get it done. And as we saw with Paddy Cripps, not that long ago, you can eventually get a set of lawyers in the AFL system to agree with your case. And I'd imagine if they lose at the tribunal, they'll go to the appeals tribunal.
Well, the precedent's there, isn't it?
That's where it'll go if they lose the initial hearing.
Not only the precedents, but the right. They have that right of passage.
Yep.
Selection's going to be fascinating as well.
Yeah, so I think they walk straight back in. So Oscar McInerney's their number 1 ruckman. Joe Danaher's their number 1 forward. So, you know, as good as Fort and Fullerton were, in my opinion, those two will be the two that make way for those.
He does have a soft spot, Chris Fagan, for Darcy Fort.
I know, but what's happened is with Darcy Wilmot coming in and also Robertson coming in, I think they've sped the team up. So I don't think they want to be too slow against Geelong in this final.
What do you reckon, Kane? Do you agree with Lordo's assessment there of selection?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy for them, because when one of those tall forwards has either gone into the ruck or hasn't been there, so McStay against Richmond and then Danaher missed, they've looked a little bit different, and it's challenged them with their small forwards that they've got. I agree with Lordo, that's the call that they'll make, but I think they'll agonise over it a little bit.